At 50, Angelina Jolie said something no one expected to hear. Not on a movie set. Not in a dramatic role. But in real life. I utterly hated him. Those weren't lines from a script. Those were her real words. Quiet, direct, and heavy with years of pain. For decades, the world has seen Angelina Jolie as fearless. A global icon. A humanitarian. A mother. A star who seemed untouchable. But behind that image, there was a story she kept locked away. A story about anger. About betrayal. About someone so close to her that the pain never really went away. And when people first heard it, the question spread fast. Who was she talking about? Some thought of Brad Pitt. Others guessed it might be someone from her past relationships. But the truth was deeper than headlines. And far more personal. Because the man she was talking about wasn't just someone she loved. He was someone who shaped her childhood. Someone she once needed. Someone she eventually walked away from. Jon Voight. And what she revealed about him, and why she chose to finally say it out loud after so many years, shocked even the people who thought they already knew her story. This isn't just about fame. It's about what happens when pain starts early and never really leaves. Angelina Jolie was born into Hollywood. Her father, Jon Voight, was already a respected actor. To the outside world, it looked like she had everything. Fame, connections, opportunity. But inside the home, things were different. Her parents' relationship didn't last. When Angelina was still very young, her mother, Markellen Bertrand, left Jon Voight and took Angelina and her brother with her. From that point on, her childhood became unstable in ways people couldn't see. Money was tight. Her mother struggled to support the family. They moved often. Life didn't feel grounded. But the bigger issue wasn't just financial. It was emotional. Angelina has spoken about feeling unwanted at times. Not directly told, but felt. There was a distance between her and her father that she didn't understand as a child. He wasn't consistently present. And when he was, things didn't always feel right. For a young girl, that kind of absence doesn't just disappear. Turns into questions. Why wasn't I enough? Why wasn't he there? Why does this feel so broken? As she got older, those questions didn't fade. They grew heavier. She watched other families. She noticed what she didn't have. Stability. Consistency. A father she could rely on. Instead, what she had was confusion, and a growing emotional gap that would follow her into adulthood. Even when Jon Voight appeared in her life publicly, the connection felt complicated. There were moments where it seemed like they were trying to rebuild something. But behind the scenes, the wounds were still there. Unspoken. Unresolved. And for Angelina, those early years left something deeper than sadness. They planted anger. By the time Angelina Jolie reached her teenage years, the pain she carried started to show, but not in obvious ways at first. On the outside, she could still smile. Still function. Still move through life. But inside, things were shifting. She began to feel different from everyone around her. Isolated. Disconnected. Like she didn't fully belong anywhere. Not at school, not at home, not even within herself. That kind of feeling doesn't stay quiet forever. Turns into anger. And for Angelina, that anger didn't always have a clear target at first. It showed up in her behavior. In her choices. In the way she pushed boundaries and tested limits. She later admitted to going through a period of self-destructive behavior. Not for attention, but because she was trying to feel something real. Trying to release emotions she didn't fully understand yet. But underneath all of that, there was someone tied to it. Someone connected to the root of that pain. Jon Voight. Their relationship didn't improve during these years. In fact, in many ways, it became more strained. The distance between them wasn't just physical anymore. It was emotional, personal, and deeply internal. There were things said, things done, moments that stayed with her. And over time, that quiet confusion she felt as a child started turning into something stronger. Resentment. She didn't just feel hurt anymore. She felt anger toward him. Real anger. The kind that builds slowly over years. The kind that doesn't go away just because time passes. And even as she began stepping into the world of acting, even as her career slowly started to take shape, that anger stayed with her, hidden behind the smile, waiting, not gone, not healed, just buried. And one day, it would come back to the surface in a way no one expected. By the late 1990s, everything around Angelina Jolie started changing. Fast. She wasn't just another young actress anymore. She was becoming one of the most talked about names in Hollywood. Then came Girl, Interrupted. Her performance was intense, unpredictable, real. It didn't feel like acting. It felt like something personal. And when she won the Academy Award, the industry saw her as a serious talent overnight. But behind that success, nothing inside her had actually settled. Fame gave her attention. It gave her validation. But it didn't give her peace. In interviews, people noticed something different about her. She didn't behave like a typical rising star. She was open about her struggles. Sometimes too open. She talked about pain, about feeling lost, about not fitting into the world around her. And the more famous she became, the more people watched her, judged her. There were headlines about her personal life, about her choices, about her relationships. Some painted her as wild. Others called her unstable. But very few understood what was really going on underneath. Because fame didn't erase what she carried from childhood. If anything, it made it louder. Every red carpet, every interview, every public moment, she was still dealing with the same unresolved emotions, the same anger, the same questions about her father, Jon Voight. There were moments when it seemed like they might fix things, appear together, speak kindly in public, but it never lasted. The connection was too damaged. And as her career kept rising, that personal fracture stayed right there, unchanged. At some point, the tension between Angelina Jolie and Jon Voight stopped being private. It became public. In the early 2000s, Jon Voight gave interviews where he spoke about his daughter's mental health. He suggested she had serious emotional problems and needed help. For Angelina, this wasn't concern. It felt like betrayal. These weren't private conversations between a father and daughter. These were public statements, shared with the world without her control. And it crossed a line she couldn't ignore. Not long after, Angelina made a decision that shocked many people at the time. She cut him off. Completely. She even went as far as legally removing Voight from her last name. It wasn't just symbolic, it was final. A clear message that she was separating herself from him, not just emotionally, but publicly and legally. From the outside, it looked extreme. But from her perspective, it was years in the making. This wasn't about one interview. It wasn't about one moment. It was about everything that came before it. The absence, the emotional distance, the unresolved pain from childhood. And now, the public exposure of something deeply personal. That's where the anger fully formed. Not just frustration, not just disappointment, hate. The kind of hate that doesn't come from one event, but from years of feeling hurt by the same person. And for a long time, she didn't try to fix it. She walked away and didn't look back. While her relationship with her father was falling apart, Angelina Jolie was building a life of her own, but it wasn't simple. Her personal relationships quickly became headline news. First, there was Billy Bob Thornton. Their relationship was intense, unpredictable, and constantly in the spotlight. They made bold public appearances, spoke openly about their connection, did things that kept the media watching them non-stop. From the outside, it looked passionate, but behind the scenes, it was unstable. The relationship didn't last. And when it ended, it left behind the same pattern. Emotional highs followed by deep lows. Then came something even bigger. Brad Pitt. Their relationship didn't just make headlines. It dominated them. The world was watching every move, every appearance, every rumor. Together, they built something that looked strong. A family, children, a shared life that seemed more grounded than anything she had before. For a moment, it felt like things were different. Like maybe she had finally found stability. But even then, the past didn't disappear. The emotional patterns were still there. The unresolved pain, the need for control, the fear of things falling apart. And eventually, they did. As their relationship faced pressure, both privately and publicly, the cracks started to show. Arguments, allegations, investigations, the kind of attention no family wants. And suddenly, everything she had tried to build started unraveling in front of the world. For Angelina, this wasn't just another breakup. It was something deeper, because in many ways it felt familiar. The instability, the emotional tension, the feeling of something breaking that she couldn't fully fix. And once again, she found herself in a place she had been before, dealing with pain, facing loss, and carrying emotions that had been building for years, still not fully spoken out loud. For Angelina Jolie, motherhood didn't arrive quietly. It came as a decision, clear, intentional, and deeply personal. Her first adoption changed something in her almost immediately. When she adopted her son Maddox, it wasn't just about building a family. It was about creating something she felt she never truly had growing up, a sense of safety, consistency, and unconditional presence. For the first time, she wasn't the child asking questions. She was the parent expected to have answers. And that shift forced her to look at her own past differently. She began to think about what it means to be there for a child, not just physically but emotionally, to show up, to listen, to protect, to stay. Things she felt were missing in her relationship with Jon Voight. As she adopted more children and later had biological children, her world became centered around them. Her identity started changing, not all at once, but steadily. She wasn't just an actress anymore. She was a mother responsible for shaping lives. And with that came a quiet realization. The anger she carried, it didn't just belong to her anymore. Because if she held on to it the same way, it could affect how she raised her own children. The way she reacted, the way she trusted, the way she connected. So she tried something different. Not forgiveness, not fully, but distance from the past. She focused on building something new instead of constantly revisiting what was broken. There were moments where she allowed small reconnections with her father. Carefully controlled, limited, mostly for the sake of her children, who deserved to know their grandfather in some way. But those moments didn't erase the past. They didn't undo what had already been done. They were just attempts to keep things from repeating. At the same time, her role as a humanitarian grew stronger. She traveled, worked with refugees, stepped into situations far removed from Hollywood. And in those environments, she saw pain on a completely different scale. It gave her perspective, but it didn't erase her own. If anything, it made her more aware of how deeply childhood shapes a person. How early experiences stay with you, even when everything on the outside changes. As a mother, she became protective in a way that wasn't just about safety. It was about emotional stability. She wanted her children to feel secure in a way she never fully did. To know that someone would always be there. To never question their place. And in doing that, she was quietly trying to break a cycle. Not by talking about it, not by publicly addressing it, but by living differently. Still, even with all that growth, the past wasn't gone. It was quieter now, but it was still there. When Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were together, they didn't just look like a couple, they looked like a complete life. A large family, shared responsibilities, public appearances that showed unity. For years, they were seen as something solid. But what the public saw wasn't everything. Behind closed doors, pressure was building. Life at that level of fame isn't normal. Every move is watched. Every disagreement can turn into a headline. Every private struggle risks becoming public. And over time, that kind of pressure changes things. The relationship started shifting. There were reports of tension, differences in parenting styles, stress from careers pulling them in different directions, long periods apart, miscommunication that didn't get resolved. For Angelina, it wasn't just about the relationship itself. It was about what it started to feel like. Unstable. And that feeling was familiar. Not in the same way as her childhood, but close enough to trigger something deeper. Because when you've grown up around emotional instability, you recognize it quickly when it starts forming again. And this time, she wasn't the child. Her children were. That changed everything. In 2016, things reached a point where she made a decision that shocked the world. She filed for divorce. What followed wasn't quiet. There were investigations, allegations, reports of incidents that quickly spread across global media. Details that were complicated, sensitive, and deeply personal. For Angelina, this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was a moment where she felt she had to act. Not later. Not after things calmed down. Immediately. Because from her perspective, this was about protecting her children. The situation became one of the most talked about separations in Hollywood. Every update was analyzed. Every statement was questioned. But inside that noise, there was something much more personal happening. She was reliving a version of something she had experienced before. A family structure breaking apart. Emotional tension turning into something bigger. And once again, the feeling that things were no longer safe. That's what pushed her to step away. Not just from the relationship, but from the environment it had become. And while the world debated what really happened, she stayed mostly quiet. Not because she had nothing to say, but because saying it publicly would come with consequences. For her, for him, and most importantly, for her children. So she held it in. Again. Just like she had done for years. But this time, the weight of it was heavier than ever. And it wouldn't stay buried forever. For years, people kept asking the same question about Angelina Jolie. Why doesn't she just say everything? Why not tell the full story? About her father, about her past, about what really happened behind closed doors. From the outside, it seemed simple. Speak out. Clear the air. Let the world know the truth. But for Angelina, it was never that easy. Silence wasn't weakness. It was a decision. After her separation from Brad Pitt, the media attention became relentless. Every small update turned into global news. Every document, every rumor, every anonymous source. People were trying to piece together a story that wasn't fully theirs to tell. And in the middle of all that were her children. That's where her focus stayed. Speaking openly might have answered questions for the public. But it also could have exposed her children to details they weren't ready to carry. Things they didn't ask for. Things that could follow them for the rest of their lives. So she chose restraint. Even when others spoke. Even when narratives formed without her input. She held back. But it wasn't just about protecting her children. It was also about understanding timing. Angelina had already experienced what happens when personal pain becomes public. Years earlier, when Jon Voight spoke about her mental health in interviews, it didn't feel like help. It felt like exposure. Like something private had been taken out of her hands and turned into a public discussion. And that moment stayed with her. She didn't want to repeat it. From the other side. She didn't want to be the one putting deeply personal truths into the spotlight before everyone involved was ready. So instead, she waited. Years passed. Legal processes moved slowly. Emotions settled just enough to become clearer, but not lighter. During that time, she kept working, kept raising her children, kept showing up in public, but never fully opening that door. People interpreted her silence in different ways. Some thought it meant there was nothing to say. Others assumed the worst. But the reality was much simpler, and much heavier. She was carrying the full story, and choosing not to release it. Not yet. Because once it's said, it can't be taken back. When Angelina Jolie finally began to speak more openly, it didn't come all at once. It came in pieces. Careful words. Controlled interviews. Small glimpses into what she had been holding back for years. But then came the moment that stood out. The moment people couldn't ignore. I utterly hated him. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was direct. And it carried weight. For many, the immediate assumption was Brad Pitt. The timing made sense. The public history was there. The wounds were still being discussed. But as more context came out, it became clear that the statement reached further back. To Jon Voight, her father. The man connected to her earliest memories. The man tied to the emotional gaps she had carried since childhood. And when she spoke about that feeling, about hate, it wasn't framed as something sudden. It was something that built over time. Years of feeling unsupported. Moments that felt like betrayal. Public statements that crossed personal boundaries. And a childhood that never felt stable enough to fully trust. For Angelina, the word hate wasn't about anger in a single moment. It was about accumulation. Layer after layer of unresolved emotion. And what shocked people wasn't just the word itself. It was how calmly she said it. No outburst. No attempt to soften it. No effort to turn it into something more acceptable. Just honesty. That's what made it land. Because it didn't sound like someone trying to create headlines. It sounded like someone finally allowing themselves to say something they had held in for decades. The reaction was immediate. Some people understood it, especially those who had experienced complicated family relationships. Others were uncomfortable with it, because there's an expectation that time heals everything. That family bonds should always find a way back to something positive. But Angelina didn't present it that way. She didn't offer a clean resolution. She didn't say everything was fixed. She simply acknowledged what had been real for her. And in doing that, she shifted the conversation from speculation to truth. At this stage in her life, Angelina Jolie isn't trying to control how people see her story anymore. She's not chasing a perfect image. She's not trying to explain every detail. What she's doing now is something different. She's choosing what to carry and what to finally put down. Her relationship with Jon Voight has seen moments of cautious reconnection over the years. Not a full repair. Not a complete return to what people might expect from a father and daughter. But something quieter. Limited contact. Controlled interactions. Space that still exists, even when they're in the same room. And that says a lot. Because forgiveness, for her, doesn't look like a full reset. It looks like boundaries. Clear ones. With Brad Pitt, things remain complicated in a different way. Their connection now runs through their children. Through shared responsibility. Through a history that can't be erased, even if their relationship has changed completely. But unlike the past, she's not staying silent in the same way anymore. She's more open, but still careful. Because now, it's not just about her story. It's about how that story affects the people around her. Especially her children. That's where her focus stays. Everything she went through, every unstable moment, every unresolved emotion, every painful memory, it all feeds into one goal now. To give her children something different. Something steady. Something that doesn't leave them questioning where they stand. And maybe that's the real reason she chose to speak now. Not to reopen old wounds, but to finally acknowledge them. To stop pretending they weren't there. To say, clearly and without filters, what she felt and why it mattered. Because sometimes, the hardest thing isn't carrying the pain. It's admitting it was there all along. So what do you think about Angelina Jolie's confession? Do you see it as honesty? Or does it change how you look at her story? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this story powerful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the real lives behind the biggest stars. We don't just follow the headlines. We look at what's really underneath them. Until next time, stay curious.